12 people. 12 persons have joined. So.
But I don't see them. Okay, let me see. Okay. How to, okay, yeah, this one.
What type of structures we're able to get. Again, the same process
Yeah,
of
okay,
indium
no,
phosphide,
no.
depositing the silicon dioxide, do some depth photoresist, and do electron beam lithography and create a just opening pore and different patterns.
It's 15 now. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning, sir. Sure, ma'am.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, now it is audible. Audible, ma'am.
हाँ, आपका ठीक से ऑन नहीं होगा.
ठीक है. Now I can hear you. Namaskar, madam.
नमस्कार.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So ऐसा करते हैं, madam. After the lecture is over, we will have a chat like this. Like this.
ठीक है.
प्रणाम मैडम.
Namaskar, madam.
Hi.
Suchitra, how are you? Good to see you.
No, I'm always happy to see Suchitra.
प्रणाम मैडम.
तबीयत ठीक है बेटे?
हाँ, अभी ठीक हूँ.
अच्छा.
अभी ठीक हूँ.
It's audible.
Yeah.
Sir, audible है आपको? Does it got it?
Yes.
आपको audible है? हाँ. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Sir, yeah. Hi, Chandrima.
Chandrima कहाँ है? I can't see Chandrima.
Hello,
Yeah,
Anurag. How are you?
Hi. Fine. Yeah.
Hi, Professor Khatak, ma'am.
नमस्कार मैम. नमस्कार.
Good morning मधु, कैसी हैं आप?
मैं ठीक हूँ. Good morning everyone.
Nice
Good
to
morning.
see all
Good
my
morning.
women colleagues, all the distinguished scientists, Chandrima and Madhu. I'm so happy to see both of you. ठीक चल रहा है चंद्रिमा?
We
Okay.
are so happy to
ma'am.
see you healthy and
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes.
hope you're fine now.
Good morning, madam. Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Good morning, madam. Good morning, everyone. Smita here.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, madam.
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chandrima. Good morning,
Good
Madhu.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I was
Good morning. Suchitra, good morning.
Good morning.
hello Suchitra.
नमस्कार.
Namaskar.
Dr. Ghatak, this is the best part that we all know you so well. Our resource person group is very strong.
Very strong.
Uh,
थोड़ा
headed by Chandrima,
Hi Rita.
Madhu, Suchitra, everybody is here. And we know each other so well.
yes.
And I just want to add something. Means we extend an advance invitation that most of you will receive a mail for delivering a lecture in this series.
It's not difficult for either of them. All of them they can do it in no time.
Hello Rita.
अनिर्बान कितनी देर बोलना है भैया?
Up to you, ma'am.
अच्छा, नहीं बहुत नहीं. I never speak too long. पर थोड़ा सा ही बोलूंगी. स्लाइड दिखा दूंगी आपको.
अनिर्बान लंच कौन खिलाएगा?
Virtual, sir. From the president of NASI in virtual mode.
अर्चना ने ज्वाइन किया. अर्चना शर्मा ने पंत ने. She must be coming.
चलो
दिखाई तो नहीं दे रहे हैं.
Bimla ji has joined. Bimla Bhuti.
मैम आपके ऊपर है, आप जितने देर कंफर्टेबल है कि
नहीं नहीं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
so it's up to you means. President NASI in virtual mode.
What I feel, Professor Ghatak, इतने अच्छे अच्छे हमारे प्रेसिडेंट्स अभी लास्ट फ्यू इयर्स में हुए हैं. Each one is such a distinguished personality, such a nice person, pleasant, and something happening to Academy, I feel very sad.
Yeah.
Because with such outstanding presidents, I mean, people who are loved and respected by the scientific community, that is the type of presidents we have been having.
Yes. और क्या बताएं?
इसके
बड़ा
पहले देखिए प्रोफेसर पद्मनाभन कितने उनका भी
हो. And he's still doing so much of work. He's 85 or something like that.
and Dr. Kasturi Rangan,
Oh,
when he was there, Dr. Kakotkar, he went up to Chitrakoot with us, Dr. Kakotkar. जब वो प्रेसिडेंट थे, चित्रकूट आए हमारे साथ. वहां हम लोगों ने किया था रूरल डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर. So, everybody is so much interested, the scientific community at the highest level. And, some people who really don't matter just want to, I won't let it happen as long as I have strength. They can do whatever when I am not there.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं कहिए.
अरे डॉक्टर साहब आप नहीं जानते हैं, मेरे से ये लोग थोड़ा वो है बस, क्योंकि आई नो ऑल द फैक्ट्स ना. मुझे तो इनकी फाइल के डिटेल्स भी याद रहते हैं, कभी इनकी फाइल देख लेती हूँ तो.
It's really great.
पवन सरकार से कहो कि छोटे गिलास में थोड़ा गुनगुना पानी दे देखो यहाँ.
Anirban, it is 12:04.
So I think we should start.
Yeah.
So most people have joined. Maybe some more people will join by the time we finish introduction. So this particular program is a part of a much broader message of Government of India and the NASI. So in the beginning of this year, we received a mail that on the eve of 75 years of independence, science has to be attached to society, which was always the mandate of the NASI, and each chapter asked to do some programs under this particular initiatives of Government of India that which NASI has undertaken, that to encourage social connections with the science. So under that schemes, Delhi chapter also requested for several different programs, and one specific program is Women in Science lecture series, and this will be a series of lecture where top women scientists who have done the top level science despite several constraints will speak about their work as well as the challenges, how to overcome that, and with the primary aim to encourage undergraduate students, postgraduate female students, PhD students and postdoc to continue science, and to showcase the examples that even they can do. It is possible that to continue top level science, and the first lecture of that series will be starting in few minutes. And for the inaugural talk, we could not have anybody better than Dr. Monju Sharma as the speaker. So we are very happy to have ma'am with us for delivering the inaugural talk. And it's my pleasure now to introduce the coordinator of the program, Dr. Papia Chaudhary, who is my colleague and professor at JIT Noida, and she will introduce today's speaker, and then we'll continue with the talk.
All, and thank you, Professor Pathak. So to do my duty to introduce Dr. Sharma, I'll start with she born in 13 December 1940. And she is the currently distinguished woman scientist chair of NASI, National Academy of Sciences, India. She is also the granddaughter of famous Madan Mohan Malviya, an educationist and the politician. For her outstanding contributions, she has received the Padma Bhushan Award. She is also a well-known biologist and science administrator who has played a critical role in the development of biotechnology and related areas for the science in India. She served as the Secretary DBT under Government of India. She was the backbone for the first focus scheme on women and development in science, which was operated by the Department of Science and Technology. She was the first chairperson of the International Council of Sciences Forum on Science for Women. She was also the first woman president of National Academy of Sciences in between 1995 and 96. At present, she is the NASI DST Distinguished Woman Scientist Chair and the chairperson, NASI New Initiatives and the Science Society programs of the NASI. She also leads the joint panel of 3 science academies of India for the STEM. Today, her topic will be Science and Technology for Rapid Progress of Women. Over to you, ma'am.
Now, before ma'am starts, means we would also like to ask President NASI, Professor Ajay Ghatak, to say a few words about NASI's initiative connecting to social initiative.
Okay.
Professor Ghatak, please.
Professor Ghatak.
Thank you, Anirban. Welcome all. It is indeed a great pleasure to be associated with this program right now. As you all know, the National Academy of Sciences India is the oldest science academy. This is for the students, which was established in 1930 by the great scientist and visionary Professor Meghnad Saha. Our academy is celebrating 75 years of independence, and as Anirban mentioned, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav through different science and society initiatives. And as part of this, Delhi chapter of NASI and JP Institute of Information Technology are jointly organizing a series of lectures on women in science. So in the recent past, we have made tremendous progress from nuclear energy to putting satellites in space, from white revolution to green revolution, from solar energy to about 1 billion mobile users in our country, and making available internet at a very low cost, etc., etc., etc. In spite of all the progress, 30% of our population still live below the poverty line. And how can we eradicate this poverty? We can eradicate poverty only through science, technology, and education. And most important is educating women and skill development, etc., etc. I may mention that the message that Swami Vivekananda preached in India was not the one of renunciation and mysticism. Instead, he cried for work for the downtrodden and poor of the country, work to revitalize the society as a whole. Vivekananda repeatedly told that India's downfall was largely due to her neglect of women. Swami Vivekananda strived to uplift the plight of women, in particular Indian women. He would say that the best thermometer to the progress of a nation is its treatment of its women. Professor Anirban Pathak, Professor Papia Chaudhary and their colleagues, with guidance from Professor Anurag Sharma as the chairman of the local chapter, is organizing this lecture series on women and science. It is really done in a very appropriate time in our lives. Such lectures will create a greater motivation for greater involvement of women in science and technology. I congratulate all of them, including Professor Anurag Sharma, for all their efforts. Listening to great women scientists should not only inspire young women, but also young men. Who could be a better person, as Anirban mentioned, than Professor Manju Sharma herself to give the inaugural talk? Her dedicated efforts and enormous contribution for the upliftment of women to organizing workshops in remote places, and also during the pandemic to organizing welfare programs for tribal women and many others, including the different galleries that she has created, should be a tremendous inspiration to our students. So therefore, with these initial words, I request Anirban to go ahead with the remaining.
So it's time to move for the main talk, and many of us, including me personally, are inspired by Dr. Manju Sharma, and we believe the talk and the program which is initiated on her inspiration, this series will motivate many young scientists to pursue science at the top level and do science for the society. So with this, we give the podium to Dr. Manju Sharma. Ma'am, your turn, please.
Thank you.
You can share your screen.
Honorable President NASI, Professor Ghatak, Dr. Anurag Sharma, the chairman of the local chapter, Dr. Anirban Pathak, Dr. Papiya Chaudhary, and all my very distinguished women scientists who have joined here. And all of you have seen who are all the people who have joined here. They are equally part of my team, which has taken forward the message of science and technology for women. So I really welcome them on my behalf also. I'm extremely happy to be part of the 75th anniversary, on the eve of 75th anniversary, when we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And the subject which I have chosen is very close to my heart. All of you know that I have almost a passion for taking up the challenges, the opportunities which are needed for women scientists, and to do more and more and more for them to progress very rapidly. I want to thank JP Institute of IT for collaborating with NASI. Of course, these are all the efforts of Anirban. So thank you, Anirban, for taking up this thing. Since 28th February, that is the National Science Day, is very close. And Honorable Minister for Science and Technology has announced that the whole weeks, starting from the 22nd February, will be celebrated as the National Science Day program, and also as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. On the National Science Day, all of you know that we pay our tributes to the great man whose work we celebrate on the 28th February. And I can always start on a note which he had said, and which is so challenging and is probably known to every scientist of this country. He said, there is only one solution for India's economic problem, and that is science and more science and still more science. So that is the message on the basis of which we all proceed, whether it is women in science, whether it is the young students, and as Professor Ghatak said, also young men who are looking for a career in science. Or everybody is very important, because science is the most important thing for the rapid progress of the country. Can I share now my slides? Just a minute. I'll just put the slides.
Sir, you have to enable the screen sharing.
So one participant can share at a time showing.
No, it is showing host disabled participant screen sharing.
How will I
I've done it. Show it now.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. आप करेंगे पहला वाला लगाओ पहले शुरू करो.
Yes.
So as Dr. Anirban Pathak has said, the subject I have chosen is science and technology for the rapid progress of women. I am of the opinion that women, when they adopt to science and technology as a career, and also they want to do something for the social benefit, science probably and technology is the major vehicle which will enable them to progress rapidly. And that is why I thought that I will touch those aspects of Women in Science, where we have already made a conscious effort to bring in the women component in every part of, whether it is policy or a program or an activity in the country. Every effort is being made by all the governments who have been in power to involve women in science. And that I will show you how we have done that even through our major policy documents. Of course, since the International Women's Day is very close, 8th of March, I thought I must also give the very warm greetings for the International Women's Day. And you all know this year the theme is very important for 2022. That is break the bias. And I thought it is important that we understand why they have chosen this theme. There are a couple of points which I have mentioned here. What is the reason for selecting this theme? Break the bias. Imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. This is a very important aspect. Diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together we can forge women's equality. Collectively we can all break the bias. So this is the message International Women's Day wants to convey to all the women scientists of the world. Just a word about the International Women's Science Day. The UN started these celebrations on 8th of March 1975, and it was in 1911 that Copenhagen Initiative marked the first beginning of bringing together the women scientists. World over, we know that several countries like Austria, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, they have held rallies, they have talked about rights to women for voting, hold public office, to work on vocational training programs, avoid discrimination on the job. These are many issues which have always been discussed. And I'm sure the participants here, and most of them are scientists, they would agree with me that all these issues, public office, vocational training, discrimination on the job, when we bring in science and technology, many of the difficult problems which women are facing, we find answers for them. That is the most important thing. We find answers when we have science and technology intervention. Next. This, of course, is just a slide to show you that we are extremely proud that we had the 2 Nobel Prizes in chemistry in 2020. And it's really something which makes all of us feel very nice when a woman scientist get a Nobel Prize or some distinction or some very important achievement and award. Next one. I also want to quote here another Nobel laureate. I talked about Sir C.V. Raman, but another Nobel laureate of the country, in a poem, Stray Words, he had written, Guru Rabindranath Tagore, "Women, when you move about in your household service, your limbs sing like a hill stream among pebbles. Women, though, has encircled world's heart with the depth of the tears as the sea has the earth. Women, in your laughter, you have the music of the fountain of life." Nobody can describe a woman's personality better than what Sir Guru Rabindranath Tagore has done. As I said in the beginning, that all the important policy issues of this country, which were formulated, which were started from 1958 onwards, they have always included the importance of women coming into the field of science and technology. And if you see the 1958 Scientific Policy Resolution, the SPR, then the Technology Policy Statement of 1983, and a Technology Policy Implementation Committee, which again needed many things about women, Science and Technology Policy 2003, and the Science and Technology Innovation Policy 2013. And of course, the latest one, I'm not quoting because it has to be still publicly out. Next one. The SPR, that is the Scientific Policy Resolution, states to ensure creative talent of men and women is encouraged and finds full scope in scientific activity. And the 2003 policy again emphasizes to promote the empowerment of women in all science and technology activity and ensure their full and equal participation. And I really want all the very distinguished participants here to note this particular point. They're very important and full equal participation in all the activities of the country, mostly the developmental activities. Next one. All these statements in one way or the other have brought out this fact that how science and technology in particular can focus on women and also harnessing science and technology for their benefit. This is a very important aspect which also I want to highlight, that harnessing S&T for the welfare of the women, particularly in rural areas, in semi-urban areas, and also those poor women who really need everything in life, including from livelihood security to some economic benefits and a good living, a healthy living. I think it is very important to harness S&T at all the levels. Next one. The latest STI policy, which clearly mentioned, that is the 2013, gender parity, participation of women in STI activities is important. New and flexible schemes to address the mobility challenges of employed women scientists and technologists will be put in place. A broad scope for re-entry of women into R&D and facilitation mechanisms for special career paths in diverse areas will be sought. This particular statement, I'm happy to say that when this policy was being drafted, I was also involved, and I had particularly mentioned that we have to include this statement, that re-entry of women into R&D. You see, because of our societal compulsions, women get married. Let's say after doing a master's degree or a graduation, they get married. Then after they have had a child, they have brought up the family to some extent, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. They want to re-enter the professional career and they want to take up research and development. What is the facilitation mechanism? And on this, all of the science departments also have addressed this issue, and there are schemes after schemes now which facilitate the re-entry of women in science and technology. Next one. This is just to show you that the women, which we think is the invisible force, what are all the important aspects which it covers when we are looking at women force as a most important human resource, starting from educational, administrative, cultural, socio-psycho, physiological, gender bias, attitudinal, economic, all the, I don't want to read all this. These are the dilemma and drawbacks. So both the aspects I have tried to bring out here. Next one. And when we want to achieve our targets, and what are the targets? Targets are to ensure inclusiveness of women in the developmental activities, especially where we are doing S&T intervention. Changing the deeply ingrained perception among the girls about mathematics and science at a young age. We have to enthuse the younger students to join science for their career. Finding a mentor, probably the most important subject is this, to find a mentor, because if the women, young girls want to take up science as a career, I think they really need a mentor early on so that they can build confidence and translate it into career satisfaction. Emphasizing hands-on experiments, good management practices and their implementation in the academic institutions, again, a very, very critical point. Training and nurturing for having a good knowledge base in science and technology, maths, engineering, capacity building, and promoting leadership later on in the career of young women. We have to also now give attention in addition to science, technology, maths, engineering, all other subjects and capacity building. How do we prepare the women to take the leadership role in science and technology? Next one, please. Providing science and technology education to young girls. This is, of course, just I've put some points. I'm not going to read it, but all of us understand that education to young girls is one of the most important things. And that is how probably, when this government started the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Abhiyan, it was for this, that we have to educate our young girls. And if we educate them, then only we can enthuse them to take science and technology. Next one. Science and technology subjects help young girls to have a better chance for securing employability, later on providing a road to better services. More women with science, STEM degrees serve as role models and create a virtuous cycle that helps more girls enter the field. And the examples are sitting in this audience, whether we have Dr. Chandrima Shaha or Dr. Madhu Dikshit. All these have reached a level where everybody knows who they are and they respect them. And they are really the role models for the young people, young women, to think that once they take up science and technology in their career, they can even reach the top. And then involving, attracting more women, girls, SNT leads to increase the ability and cater to the enormous consumer power of women in the marketplace. This again is also a very important aspect. Next one. I just want to very quickly mention here, I won't read them. These are some of the programs and schemes which are taken up in science by Government of India. And certainly the DST is the main department of science, which started with the women's scheme. And now it has got so many schemes, Curie and Getty and then Kiran and all these Vigyan Jyoti schemes. Next one. And then Department of Biotechnology, when it was set up in 1986, there also, when the National Biotechnology Board was there was focus on what to do for women, and particularly in biotechnology career advancement and reorientation. And therefore, several schemes were started by the Department of Biotechnology also. Next one. And in addition to that, CSIR, ICAR, DRDO, space, atomic energy, each has started focusing on the aspects of women and their inclusion in their programs. Of course, I will talk about the NASI here, because this NASI local chapter has organized this, that NASI has taken almost a lead in organizing several sensitization, capacity building, and technological empowerment of women programs all across the country. Total events you can see which we have organized are, this is just in the last 2 to 3 years, We have got it practically in all the important states of the country, starting with UP, Gujarat, and up to Haryana. Next one. And there are 32 events which we have organized. We had a mega event which was organized at the request of the then Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan. He wanted a very big event to be organized. So we had this technological empowerment of women, where we had not only Indian scientists participate, Indian women scientists, but we invited representatives from other countries also. And very distinguished women came. And this was supported by many of us, and we had more than 1,200 women participants in this program. Next one. See, this is the one. And we had Professor Swaminathan, Dr. Anil Kakotkar was the chairman, president of the Academy. Dr. Ashutosh Sharma was the secretary at that time. And Dr. Harshvardhan came, Dr. Swaminathan, and there you can see Dr. Karen Nelson, who was in charge of the Human Genome Program. And she came, she was the director, and she, a very distinguished scientist. We had given her the Foreign Fellowship of the National Academy, and she was also present in our program. Next one. These are some of the posters, and this is the audience we had. Next. Exhibition also was organized, and this is the inaugural session. Next one. And most important thing, we published the proceedings of the mega event, and which is available on the NASI website, and it was very widely circulated in the country. Next. Now, I want to highlight some of the major recommendations, and the reason why I want to highlight is then when so many important women scientists who are occupying key positions, not only nationally, but also internationally, also from other countries were present. What are the type of recommendations they said? And these are the requirements of women till today. Every woman scientist will require such thing. Proper mentoring right from their early stage, health-related issues. I know all of you are aware that nutrition is the major problem the women are facing in India. We have the largest number of women and children who are malnourished. Also communicable and non-communicable diseases. Then tools and implements which should be evaluated for the performance of rural women. This is something which NASI had noticed, that, you know, these agriculture implements, like we have this something which, women use as cutters and for something to just dig the soil. All these implements, they are really meant to serve the women, male members of the family. That is, the male farmers can use these implements because they are very hard, they are very heavy and very difficult to use. So NASI organized a meeting with the DGICR and others to work out some arrangement and give funding to some people so that these tools and implements, particularly for the women who perform more than 60 to 70% of farm operations in the country, can be developed so that, including the post-harvest activities, we can reduce their drudgery. This is a very important role our women scientists have, to reduce the drudgery of women in rural areas. Then also today, when we are talking of startups, Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are really looking into the entrepreneurial abilities and skills, and we want to enhance this through various training programs of women. Next one. We also recommended capacity building, then involvement in the leadership roles. This was a very important thing. And then this information and data sharing, including the farm women and local development. how do we disseminate this information all through the country at every strata of society? And this is one of the things NASI through its science communication program is doing. And I'm also sure that INSA also had taken up some of such programs. And of course, Indian Academy of Science is mostly interested in giving good publications. And that's how we had that very good report, Leelavati Daughters, which was brought out by Dr. Rohini Godbole and others. So why I want to say this is that all the academies of the country are very much interested in the subject of women in science. Next one. NASI had taken up several follow-up of the programs, recommendations which were made in the mega event. And first thing was that NASI ICR, they wanted to become partners in training of the women in agriculture. Then we also wanted to give some awards to those scientists who will develop some such implements which can reduce the drudgery, as I said earlier, of the farm women and also women working in rural areas. Next one. And you can see Dr. Kasturi Rangan was the NASI president, Dr. Ayappan sitting here as DG ICR, Professor Menon, and many other members of the NASI family and ICAR. And we all discussed this, how to institute an award. And very readily, Dr. Ayappan, the DG ICR, agreed to institute an award, which is given every year jointly by NASI and ICAR to those scientists who develop such implements for reduction of drudgery. Next one, please.
Hello, Swaran.
Hello. Then we had a very important program on eradication of malnutrition.
I request others to kindly mute. Apart from Professor Monju Sharma, others may kindly mute.
At Hyderabad, this program was organized, and we have taken up some programs in Telangana state, in Vadodara, Gujarat. Next one. Then NASI has also was working with the Department of Science and Technology on a scheme about which I talked, Break in the Career of Women, and then providing 1-year internship so that they can come back and join the mainstream of science and technology development. Also to provide a platform to such women, those who are interested in taking up science, and encourage them and also give them training. Next one. Now the 3 science...
webinar, Swaran, I can't talk to you now. Sorry, I'll call you later.
The 3 science academies, they have constituted a panel, which is Inter-Academy panel. And this panel, Inter-Academy panel is IASC Bangalore, the NASI and INSA. And this panel main objective is to ensure inclusion of women in SNT related issues in all possible and pragmatic ways, and strengthen the application of science and technology. I want to emphasize on this particular aspect that when we are talking of science and technology for women, the 2 aspects which are important: inclusion of women in SNT and strengthening the application of women in science and technology for the benefit of the women, but particularly women, but of course for the society also. Next one. And with the recommendation of this panel, IAP, we published a document, a vision document, which was published actually by NASI. And this was the document, again, very widely circulated in the country. And I'm happy to tell you that Dr. Ramasamy was the secretary of the DST. And when we sent this document to him, he said, this will be used for the implementation, for the preparation of the 5-year plan, which the department is making. So it was very nice that the document prepared by all the academies was readily accepted by a science department for implementation of the recommendations. Next. Of course, I have already talked about the International Women's Day, and again, as the United Nations has emphasized, this day is being observed for girls in science, and also many organizations in the country, in the world, which are involved in supporting the young girls and women in the field of science, and to laud their efforts by women also to sort of popularize that women are already making very good efforts in science and technology and STEM related subjects. Next one. Therefore, we know that, of course, we always give many examples, but certainly one example which comes to everybody's mind is Marie Curie. And she has been like an icon for women scientists and technologists. And she said, life is not easy for any one of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance, and above all, confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. I think this is the most important thing. We have to generate and ensure that there is a high degree of confidence level amongst the women scientists and technologists. And that is what will make them feel that, yes, they can achieve their target. Yes, they can progress very rapidly using science and technology once they have total confidence in themselves. Next one. And not only Marie Curie, but we come back to Bapu and also Kasturba Gandhi ji. When 150th birth anniversary of Bapu was being celebrated in the country, the then president, Dr. Anil Kakotkar, and of course all the council members readily agreed that why we only celebrate the birth anniversary of Bapu. Same year it is also the birth anniversary, 150th birth anniversary of Ba. So NASI organized all the events which celebrated the birth anniversary of both Ba and Bapu. And that's how I have put this, what Ba had said, whenever you have truth, it must be given with love, or the message and the messenger will be rejected. This was the love for humanity, the love for people was always Ba's main message. And of course, Gandhiji was a very, very strong supporter of women. And he said, to call women the weaker sex is a libel. It is man's injustice to woman. If by strength is meant moral power, then women is immeasurably man's superior. And Bapu was very clear that women have the brain power, the strength, and maybe they are also superior to men. Next. What we feel that women are absolutely essential in this country. And now I'm talking of India, since we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, that they are absolutely essential for capacity building. And we can never forget what Gandhiji has said, when a man is educated, an individual is educated. When a woman is educated, a family and a country are educated. So, friends, what I have tried to just flag, not go into the details before you, are many of the important issues which are critical for the involvement of women in science and technology, and which will make it sure that science and technology can be used for reducing the drudgery of women, and it can be used for application in rural areas, especially to improve their livelihood, provide them livelihood security, environmental security, health and food security. All these aspects can be taken care of. We know that as far as food security is concerned, it is very essential for us to pay attention to all aspects of food security when it comes to women, because they suffer with anemia, especially prenatal conditions. And when women are suffering with anemia during pregnancy, children will be also wasted, sometimes very weak, underweight, with all sorts of problems. And that is why we still say that we have the largest number of malnourished children and women in the world, in India. So we have to take care of the health aspects also of women. But that all this is possible when we educate the woman, and she is responsible for the capacity building across the society, across the country. The last point which I want to say here is that I'm very happy that the 3 academies have come together. And of course, in that committee's expert panel, we have representation from all the academies, that is from ICAR, ICMR, and of course DSTDBT are always there, because they are having major programs relating to women. So this panel is, I'm very happy that the academies have taken this lead, and the Inter-Academy panel plans to do many things, both for women in science and who are looking for their progress, and also for application of science and technology for women. That again is for the progress of women in science. So that is how I look at the whole scenario of future when we are going to discuss the SNT in a larger context of the development of science and technology in the country. It will be very essential that we have women as inclusive in that whole policy aspects, as well as for program and activity implementation, and also involve them in monitoring and leadership roles, which is critical and which will enable the women scientists and technologists to move forward rapidly in all the developmental process of the country for the entire socio-economic development of the nation. Thank you very much, and I wish best wishes to Anirban for other future programs. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for wonderful talk and beautifully giving the perspective. And with this means the motive, the lecture series will continue, and the next talk is on 25th evening at 6 p.m. and the speaker will be Sohini Ghosh. So we have already sent the announcement and we'll send it again. And as I mentioned in the beginning, many of you are going to receive mails to deliver this talk. So this is an advance request. Please kindly accept the invitation for delivering talks in this series. And now I would like to request Dr. Anurag Sharma, Chairman of the Delhi chapter of the National Academy of Science, to thank the speaker as well as to thank the audience who are present here.
Excuse me, I have one small request.
Yes, yes.
Hello, I'm Professor Sudesh Kaur Khanduja, a NASI fellow. I would request, madam, to share that slide with us where the quote of Rabindranath Tagore is given. And where does this quote occur? If she can tell us, that will also be good. And similar, a similar statement had already been given by Guru Nanak in Asa Diwar, where he said, "Sokyo manda akhiye, jit jamme rajan." There's a full body consisting of 8 lines expressing what Professor Manju Sharma has said about women. Can she share that slide with us? I will click the photo.
Sure. Number slide.
It was in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was something like 7th, 8th slide.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I can't see completely because there are photos showing. Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for a very nice lecture.
Right.
I would like to listen to it again.
Okay.
So this will be in YouTube. Means if you want to listen once again or see a particular slide, in the same YouTube link it will remain available.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I would like to propose a vote of thanks to Madam Sharma, who has given us a glimpse of all the activities which have been undertaken by the government, by the other agencies, and she has been part of most of the time she has been part of them. So she has really been at the core of many of such activities, and where the programs for women in science and technology have been created. Even now, she is the chairperson of the Academy panel, and she's steering that activity. So it's really what should I say, ringside view of all the things that can be done, that should be done, and that are being done to include women in the science and technology in an equal way. And this work will continue till it really becomes equal. And so there's a lot of work still to be done, and that she has shown some ways that how it can be done and how it should be done. So really, thank you, madam. Thank you very much for taking us through this entire journey that you have been involved in, and how it will go further. Thank you very much. I also thank all the participants, and of course Anirban and Papia for organizing this. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, everyone. And before we close, there is a request that please join in the next editions of the talks of this series. Means we'll keep you posted, please. And encourage
we
you.
have to take a photo of all of them, so kindly.
There?
Yes, I am there.
Acha, you wanted to have some discussion with me now?
We will do that. We'll just do that. Yes.
Okay, can I request all of you to switch on your camera, please, so that we can take a photo.
How can we have everyone?
Yeah.
Most people will come, means at least it's coming, means not everyone means, but in one screen, but many people are coming.
Gallery. Oh, you make it gallery.
Yes.
You go to the gallery and do that. Then it is coming. All right, that's good.
Yeah. We're done. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. We'll meet again on 25th.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Anirban
you.
sir and Papia ma'am, for organizing such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Professor Shah.
Can we leave now? We are supposed to leave.
Yes, sir.